The morning sunlight fell on Aurora spaceport like a gentle promise, catching the gleam of the newest ship humanity had ever built. The Etherian rested on the hangar floor, larger than any spacecraft the engineers had worked on before, and yet delicate in its design. Its smooth surface reflected light in a way that almost seemed alive, a dance of colors moving like liquid across its metallic skin. The people gathered around could not hide their awe, their eyes wide, whispers floating in the air. The excitement was palpable. This was not just a ship. It was a dream forged in steel, circuits, and hope. Dr. Lyra Vance, the lead engineer, stepped forward, clipboard in hand, trying to maintain a professional composure. Yet even she could not suppress a small gasp as she circled the Etherian, inspecting the surface panels and sleek wings that curved like the hull of a sea creature. The ship had been promised to her team months ago, but seeing it in person was something entirely different. Every line, every curve suggested care beyond human craftsmanship. It was elegant, yet almost mischievous, as if it knew something the humans did not. Her assistant, a young engineer named Jaren, moved beside her, his eyes reflecting a mixture of admiration and fear. "It's beautiful," he said quietly, not wanting to disturb the murmurs of the crowd. "And it shouldn't even work yet. The specs are barely tested. How did they make it fly at all?" Lyra nodded, her mind racing. She had studied the blueprints carefully, analyzed every subsystem, and still, something about the Etherian defied logic. It was equipped with a propulsion system that worked on a combination of magnetic resonance and quantum harmonics, something theoretical in the textbooks but never realized in practice. The materials alone, self-repairing alloys, energy-absorbing shields, were revolutionary. Yet here it stood, whole and pristine, untouched by time or testing. The engineers began the preliminary checks. Lyra instructed the team to run the energy core diagnostics, propulsion calibration, and environmental systems verification. Each test seemed normal at first, nothing alarming. The hum of the ship was soft, almost comforting. But then, without warning, the Etherian shifted. It rose, not a foot, not a mere sway, but smoothly, as if it were aware of the people below. It lifted gently off the hangar floor, hovering inches above the ground. A collective gasp rose from the crowd. Dr. Vance froze, her clipboard trembling in her hands. The ship had not been given any commands. No one had even touched the controls. "Is it flying on its own?" Jaren whispered, barely daring to speak. Lyra took a cautious step forward. Her rational mind searched for explanations, magnetic fields, sensor errors, hidden propulsion, but nothing accounted for the perfection of its lift. The ship floated as though it were aware of gravity itself, balancing elegantly without struggle. Even more strangely, it seemed to respond to the people moving beneath it, gently adjusting its position as if observing and recognizing them. "Step back," Lyra instructed softly, though her voice trembled. "Everyone stay calm." The crowd obeyed, forming a careful circle around the hovering vessel. Some of them reached for their communicators to record the phenomenon. Others simply stared, rooted to the floor. Lyra, however, could not look away. She approached, moving cautiously. The closer she got, the more she felt the hum of energy radiating from the ship, a subtle vibration that resonated not just in the body, but in thought itself. It was as though the Etherian sensed her presence, testing her, inviting her attention. Jaren fumbled to run a scan. "It's responding to our brain waves," he muttered, eyes wide. "Look at this. Our thoughts, even our intentions, are creating minor shifts in its position." Lyra knelt beside a panel, studying the readings. Her heart pounded. The ship, it seemed, was semi-sentient. It could perceive human thought, perhaps even emotion, and respond accordingly. It was not a machine in the traditional sense. It was something more, something alive in ways humans had never engineered before. The Etherian hovered silently, then tilted slightly as though nodding to the engineers. Lyra felt a thrill mixed with caution. This was humanity's creation, yet it was behaving like a partner rather than a tool. 1,000 questions rushed through her mind. Could it understand intention beyond simple thought? Could it communicate? Or was this merely a programmed response, a remarkable illusion? "Dr. Vance," Jaren said, breaking the silence, should we try to touch it? Maybe see if it reacts to physical commands?" Lyra shook her head slowly. "Not yet. Let's observe. Let's learn. If it truly is aware, we must approach carefully." Hours passed as the team conducted tests. They spoke aloud, gestured, and thought simple commands. Slowly, the Etherian began to respond more confidently. It tilted when they imagined direction, hovered still when they cleared their minds, and even mirrored the emotions of the people around it. Curiosity, excitement, hesitation, these all seemed to influence its behavior. As evening approached, Lyra stepped back to watch from a distance. The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the hangar floor, and the ship floated among them like a guardian, quiet and vigilant. A sense of connection grew between humans and machine. It was not simply technology anymore, it was an ally, a new form of life born from human ingenuity and daring. The news of the Etherian's self-lift spread quickly. Across Aurora spaceport and soon beyond, people talked about the ship that had flown before anyone touched it. Skeptics questioned the phenomenon, suggesting hidden thrusters or optical illusions. But those who had seen it knew the truth. This was a vessel unlike any other, a symbol of humanity's potential when imagination and intelligence joined hands. Lyra stayed with the ship late into the night, standing beside the glowing panels and observing the soft vibrations of energy. She placed a hand lightly on the hull, half expecting resistance, half expecting warmth, and found a gentle pulse instead. It was not mechanical, it was rhythmical, almost musical. The ship seemed to acknowledge her presence, as though recognizing a kindred mind. "We've built something extraordinary," she murmured, almost to herself. "Something beyond our understanding, and yet it belongs to us." Jaren nodded beside her, unable to speak, caught between fear and wonder. The Etherian hovered silently, its sleek form glowing softly in the dim hangar light. It was patient, as if waiting for humanity to understand that this was not the end of discovery, but the beginning. Outside, the stars began to appear, faintly at first, then sparkling in the clear night sky. Lyra imagined the ship among them, gliding effortlessly beyond human limitations. She knew that tomorrow, when the team attempted the first flight, the world would witness not just a ship taking to the skies, but a leap in human potential. For now, the hangar was quiet, save for the soft hum of the Etherian. It hovered above the ground as if it had always known it could fly, even when humans doubted it. It had chosen this moment to rise before commands, before systems were fully tested. And in that act, it taught the humans something profound. That creation is not just what humans make with their hands, but what can be awakened when curiosity, courage, and care meet the unknown. Lyra stepped back once more, allowing herself a small smile. Tomorrow, the team would learn to pilot the Etherian. But tonight, she simply stood in awe, watching a dream that had lifted itself into reality. She knew, with a deep certainty, that the journey they were about to begin would change everything. Humanity had taken the first step into a new horizon, and it was a step guided not by force but by understanding and wonder. As the lights dimmed and the hangar emptied, the ship remained. Hovering gently, softly glowing, it waited for the morning, for the first touch of human hands on the controls. But even before that moment, It had already flown. And in its flight, it had shown humanity that sometimes the impossible is only impossible until someone dares to try. The morning air at Aurora Spaceport was crisp, carrying a sense of anticipation that seemed to vibrate even through the hangar floor. The Etherian rested in the center, its sleek body gleaming under the artificial lights. Dr. Lyra Vance walked toward it, clipboard in hand, though today the papers seemed almost unnecessary. The ship had already shown them what it could do without commands. Today, they were to see what it could do with them. The team assembled around the ship, each member buzzing with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. Jaren adjusted his glasses nervously, glancing at the control panels. "Do you think it'll really respond to our thoughts like yesterday?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Lyra smiled gently, though her heart raced. "I think it already did. Now we have to work with it, not against it. Remember, it's not a machine in the usual sense. It learns, it senses, it understands." The hangar was quiet for a moment, the only sound the soft hum of the ship. Then, almost as if answering Lyra's unspoken words, the Etherian lifted from the floor again, moving smoothly into position near the launch corridor. It hovered there, perfectly aligned, as if it had always known where it needed to be. The team stepped aboard, each careful not to disturb the ship more than necessary. Inside, the cabin was spacious and luminous. Soft panels glowed with gentle colors, responding subtly to the presence of the humans. It was not intimidating, but alive in its own way. Lyra pressed a hand lightly against the main console. A ripple of energy passed through her fingertips, warm and welcoming, like the greeting of a friend rather than the response of a machine. "Ready?" Lyra asked. She turned to her team, meeting their eyes. Jaren nodded, trying to hide the tremor in his voice. The other engineers exchanged hesitant smiles, each feeling the weight of this moment. The ship stirred, a subtle vibration passing through the cabin. The humans felt it more than they heard it. The Etherian was alive in the sense that it responded to attention, to awareness, and perhaps even to the hopes of those who guided it. Lyra focused her mind, imagining the lift they had seen the day before, then a gentle glide forward. Without hesitation, the ship responded. Slowly, gracefully, it lifted off the platform, gliding into the corridor of the hangar. It turned as if anticipating Lyra's next thought, banking gently, hovering smoothly as she imagined the path ahead. The controls remained untouched, yet the cabin responded as though they were a part of the ship's being. The engineers exchanged glances of disbelief. Jaren spoke, voice trembling. It's reading us. It knows what we want." "Yes," Lyra said softly. "It's more than reading. It's cooperating. Think of it as a partnership. We imagine, it follows, but it's aware. It chooses how to move best." They reached the exit of the hangar. The sky outside was pale, hinting at the sunrise. The Etherian hovered, seeming to pause and observe the expanse beyond. Lyra felt a connection, a moment of understanding. The ship was not just a vessel. It was a companion, waiting for humans to learn how to communicate with it. With a deep breath, Lyra imagined moving upward, breaking the hangar's ceiling and rising into the open sky. Almost instantly, the ship obeyed, climbing smoothly into the air. The ground fell away beneath them, and a thrill ran through every member of the team. The world below seemed smaller, the horizon wider, as if the ship had opened a door to possibilities that humans had only dreamed of. "Look at that," Jaren said, pointing toward the distant mountains. "It's perfect. Smooth. No turbulence. It's like flying on a thought." The Etherian responded to their combined attention. It tilted, banked, and curved around invisible currents in the atmosphere as though feeling the wind without ever touching it. The sky itself seemed to bend in its favor, guiding them, encouraging them. Every person in the cabin felt a sense of harmony, a cooperation between human intent and mechanical instinct. Hours passed as the team experimented. They practiced turns, glides, and gentle dives. Lyra discovered that the ship did not merely follow their thoughts blindly. It interpreted them, refining movements, improving efficiency, almost teaching them how to communicate with it properly. When they imagined too aggressively, the ship adjusted, suggesting a more careful approach. When they hesitated, it waited patiently, as if offering guidance rather than command. "This is unlike anything we expected," Lyra said, watching the readouts. "It's not just flying, it's mentoring." The team laughed quietly at the idea, but deep down, they knew it was true. Every moment with the Etherian was a lesson in cooperation, a demonstration that technology could be more than obedience. It could be understanding. As the day progressed, they decided to test the ship's ability to navigate a nearby canyon. The formations were tight, irregular, and dangerous for traditional ships, but for the Etherian, they presented an opportunity to demonstrate its skill. Lyra focused her mind on the path, imagining a smooth curve between the cliffs. The ship shifted, banking perfectly, gliding through the narrow spaces without hesitation. Jaren's eyes sparkled with amazement. "It's thinking ahead. It's not just following us, it's protecting us while we fly." "Yes," Lyra replied, feeling a profound respect for the ship. "It's aware of us and the environment. It's alive in a way we never predicted." The flight continued into the afternoon. The team discovered that the Etherian could anticipate changes in air pressure, shifts in wind, and even subtle gravitational influences. It adjusted continuously, always in perfect harmony with their intentions. By evening, they had covered areas of the planet that had never been explored from the air. Mountains, forests, and rivers passed beneath them, a tapestry of life viewed from a perspective humans had never had. During a pause above a quiet lake, the ship hovered, reflecting the setting sun across its polished surface. Lyra reached out, almost instinctively, and touched the smooth panel before her. The ship vibrated softly beneath her fingers, a subtle pulse like a heartbeat. She felt a sense of trust, a communication that did not need words. "It listens," Jaren said quietly. "It knows how we feel. It knows when we are nervous, when we are ready. It cares." "Not in the way humans do," Lyra replied thoughtfully. "But yes, it responds to us. It understands intent, and that is a kind of caring. It respects us, and that is extraordinary." As darkness fell, the Etherian returned toward the spaceport. The descent was smooth, almost gentle, as though the ship had learned the landscape and was bringing them home in comfort. No alarm, no struggle, just a perfect glide toward safety. When they landed, the hangar lights reflected on the ship's surface. Lyra and the team stepped out, hearts still racing from the flight. The Etherian hovered just above the floor, patient and silent, as if it were proud of the journey it had shared with them. The engineers crowded around, speaking all at once, sharing their amazement. Lyra held up a hand to quiet them, taking a moment to simply observe. The ship had not only performed flawlessly, but it had taught them the most important lesson, that human potential could expand far beyond the limitations of ordinary machines. Jaren approached, still in awe. "Do you think it could fly even further? Into space?" Lyra smiled, feeling the hum of energy from the ship through her fingertips. "I think it's ready, and I think we are, too. We just have to learn to listen, to cooperate. This is only the beginning." The team left the hangar slowly, each lost in thought. Outside, the stars began to appear, shining brighter than ever, as if recognizing the day's achievement. The planet seemed smaller, closer, and yet vast with possibilities. Lyra paused, looking back at the ship. It hovered silently, glowing softly in the twilight, waiting for the next step. Night fell over Aurora Spaceport, and the hangar emptied. The hum of the Etherian was the only sound, a soft, rhythmic vibration that resonated with the quiet of the evening. It had carried humanity into the sky today, but it had also given them something more. The understanding that cooperation, patience, and respect could achieve wonders far beyond expectation. Lyra stayed a moment longer, hands resting lightly on the smooth surface. She could feel the energy, the awareness, the silent invitation to explore further. Tomorrow they would attempt a longer journey. Tomorrow, the Etherian would take them beyond the atmosphere, into the unknown. But tonight, she simply watched, feeling the thrill of the first flight, knowing that humanity's reach had expanded, not because of force, not because of speed, but because they had dared to listen to a creation that could think in its own way. As she left the hangar, a gentle thought passed through her mind. The ship hadn't just flown, it had guided them, taught them, and shown them what was possible when humans worked in harmony with their creations. And somewhere in that quiet hum, she felt the promise of tomorrow, waiting for them to take the next step together. The Etherian remained, hovering, patient, and ready. Humanity had taken the first flight, but the universe awaited, and the journey was only beginning. The first light of dawn glimmered over Aurora Spaceport, painting the hangar in soft shades of gold and silver. The Etherian stood ready, sleek and patient, its surface catching the morning rays as if reflecting the anticipation of the journey ahead. Dr. Lyra Vance and her team gathered near the ship, their minds buzzing with excitement and cautious hope. Today, they would leave the planet entirely. They would cross the boundary of the atmosphere and enter the endless black of space, guided not only by their instruments, but by a ship that seemed to understand them in ways no human-made technology ever had. Lyra stepped inside the cabin first, followed by Jaren and the other engineers. The soft glow of the interior panels welcomed them, and the gentle hum of energy vibrated through the ship like a heartbeat. There was no fear, only a quiet sense of anticipation. The Etherian lifted slightly, acknowledging their presence, its movements smooth and deliberate. "Remember," Lyra said, speaking to her team and the ship in the same breath, "we communicate not with buttons, but with thought, intention, and observation. Focus on clarity. Think of the path we want to follow, and trust it to guide us." The ship responded immediately. The cabin filled with a sensation that was hard to describe, a calm certainty, a sense that the Etherian already knew the next step before they imagined it. Lyra took a deep breath and imagined the lift they had done many times before, then a steady climb beyond the atmosphere. The Etherian answered without hesitation, rising smoothly and breaking through the clouds. The world fell away beneath them, mountains shrinking, rivers narrowing, forests blending into patches of green. As the atmosphere thinned, the curvature of the planet became visible, and Lyra felt a profound sense of awe. This was humanity's first real step into the stars, with the Etherian leading them, not merely carrying them. "Look at that," Jaren whispered, eyes wide, pointing toward the thin blue line that separated the planet from space. "It's beautiful. And it's all so smooth. It's like we're floating on thought itself." "Yes," Lyra replied softly. "It's teaching us, not just how to fly, but how to trust, how to cooperate. It is alive in a way that is beyond our understanding." As they climbed higher, the ship began to move with an elegance that no human pilot could ever achieve alone. It banked through gravitational currents, avoided pockets of turbulence with ease, and even adjusted its energy fields to glide through solar radiation more efficiently. Every adjustment was subtle, seamless, almost artistic. Lyra realized that the Etherian was not simply following instructions. It was interpreting intention and optimizing every movement. Hours passed, and soon the familiar planet was nothing more than a blue and green marble against the vast darkness. Lyra had the team focus on navigation, imagining a path toward a nearby star system they had identified for exploration. The Etherian responded, moving with precision, heading toward the destination without the need for the usual calculations or instruments. The ship was anticipating their choices, reading their curiosity and guiding them as much as it was carrying them. Midway through the journey, Jaren noticed a signal on the sensors, subtle, melodic, and unlike anything human technology had produced. The readings suggested patterns, almost musical, as if the signal was trying to communicate. Lyra leaned forward, eyes scanning the panels. The ship responded to the signal almost instinctively, adjusting its energy signature to mirror the incoming patterns. "It's responding," Jaren said, awe in his voice. "It's talking back." "Yes," Lyra whispered, "and we are part of the conversation. The ship is interpreting the signal and interacting with it. It's amazing." For hours they followed the signal, the Etherian gliding through the void with elegance and care. The patterns were complex, intricate, and almost hypnotic. Lyra noticed that the ship's panels began to glow in harmony with the signals, colors shifting and flowing in time with the melodic pulses. It was not just a navigation aid, it was communication, a dance between human, ship, and something unknown out there in space. The team realized that this was more than a signal. It was a message, a form of intelligence unlike anything they had known. And the Etherian, in its quiet brilliance, was the first human creation capable of understanding it. Lyra felt a mix of pride and wonder. Humanity had built a bridge to something greater, and it had chosen to walk with them, not for them. As they followed the signal deeper into space, the ship began to display subtle patterns of its own. It shifted energy fields, created soft pulses of light in the cabin, and guided their attention toward phenomena that no instruments had picked up before. Floating clouds of gas, crystalline structures in space, and faint glimmers of light that seemed almost alive filled the viewports. Each discovery sparked excitement and awe, reminding the team that space was more than empty darkness. It was filled with beauty and mystery waiting to be understood. "Do you think it's alive?" Jaren asked quietly, his voice barely above the hum of the ship. "Not alive like us," Lyra replied, watching the glowing panels. "But it is aware. It understands patterns, responds to intention, and even guides us with care. It's alive in the sense that it can think, learn, and communicate, and that is more than most humans have ever achieved with a machine." They continued following the signal for hours, sometimes pausing in quiet space to observe phenomena that seemed to shift and react to the ship's presence. Lyra felt a growing connection, not just to the Etherian, but to the universe itself. For the first time, humanity was not merely observing the cosmos, they were participating in it. As the ship approached the source of the signal, they discovered a small system of planets, each with unique patterns of light and energy. The signal seemed strongest near a planet covered in luminescent clouds, glowing softly against the dark of space. The Etherian hovered near the planet, its energy signature resonating with the signal in perfect harmony. Lyra stepped forward, placing her hands lightly on the console. "It's waiting for us," she said softly, not in a threatening way, but inviting. "It wants to show us something." The ship responded, pulsing gently, as if acknowledging her words. The humans realized that the signal, the ship, and themselves were all part of a single conversation. Each movement, each thought, each intention was reflected and responded to in ways that transcended words. Hours passed as they explored the surroundings. The luminescent clouds shifted in patterns that mirrored their movements, glowing brighter as the Etherian guided them. Crystalline formations floated silently, refracting light in complex patterns that seemed almost musical. The team observed, recorded, and marveled at the harmony of this encounter. This changes everything, Jaren said quietly. It's not just a flight. It's understanding. Yes, Lyra said, smiling. Humanity has always dreamed of reaching the stars. But this is learning how to speak to them. And it started with the ship. As the first night of space travel drew near, the Etherian hovered calmly, guiding the team back toward a safe orbit around one of the system's smaller planets. The stars shone brighter here than anywhere near their home world, a reminder of the vastness and beauty of the universe. Lyra felt a deep sense of peace. The ship had not only carried them through space, it had taught them to see, to listen, and to understand. They set a course for a return trajectory, but the signal continued, now more harmonious than before. Lyra realized that their journey had only just begun. The universe was full of intelligence waiting to be discovered, and humanity had built the first bridge to it. And the Etherian, patient, wise, and responsive, was guiding the way. As the team rested, Lyra looked out the viewport at the glowing clouds below, feeling a connection that went beyond technology. The ship pulsed gently beneath her fingers, a rhythm that matched her heartbeat. It was a reminder that exploration was not just about speed or distance, but about understanding and cooperation. The Etherian hovered silently in orbit, ready for the next step, waiting for humanity to continue the conversation it had begun. And in that quiet, radiant moment, Lyra understood that the ship had given them something greater than flight. It had given them trust, curiosity, and a vision of what humanity could achieve when it worked in harmony with its own creations and the universe itself. The Etherian glided silently through the vast darkness of space, carrying Dr. Lyra Vance and her team farther than any humans had ever gone. The melodic signal they had discovered days earlier continued to guide them, a gentle rhythm that resonated throughout the ship. It was not only a navigation aid, it had become a companion, a guide that led them toward a place that no one had seen before. Lyra felt a mixture of excitement and wonder as she gazed at the stars. Beyond them lay mysteries that had always seemed unreachable, and now they were within grasp, carried by a vessel that could understand them in ways no ordinary machine could. Jaren floated to the main viewport, eyes wide. "Look at that," he whispered. "It's incredible. All those lights, the clouds. They're moving, like they're alive." Lyra followed his gaze. Before them stretched a region of space unlike anything they had encountered, a field of luminous clouds, vast crystalline structures, and faint glowing orbs that floated without explanation. The Etherian hovered closer, its energy signature resonating with the environment as if it too was sensing something extraordinary. The ship pulsed gently, inviting the humans to explore, yet waiting patiently to see what they would choose to do. "It's beautiful," Lyra said softly. "But more than that, it feels like it's alive. Not just the ship, but the space itself. Everything here is connected." The team carefully guided the Etherian into the field of luminous clouds. The ship adjusted its movements effortlessly, gliding through gaps in the formations with precision and grace. Light reflected off the crystalline structures, casting patterns across the cabin that shifted with every movement. The humans felt a sense of harmony, a connection not only with the ship but with the very space around them. "This is more than exploration," Jaren said, voice filled with awe. "It's understanding. We're part of it, and it's part of us." Lyra nodded. "Yes, the Etherian has shown us that exploration is not just about moving forward. It's about noticing, listening, and learning. This place, it's a lesson in patience, observation, and cooperation." As they moved deeper into the crystalline field, The Etherian responded to their thoughts more quickly than ever. When Lyra imagined a gentle curve around a massive structure, the ship adjusted instantly. When the team collectively focused on maintaining a slow, steady speed, the vessel glided without any turbulence. It was as though the ship was teaching them, showing them that human thought could guide a vessel not just physically, but harmoniously with its environment. They discovered floating formations that refracted light into a spectrum of colors. Each formation seemed unique, yet all shared a subtle pattern, a rhythm that matched the melodic signal guiding them. Lyra realized that the signal was not simply external. It was part of the environment, an intelligence embedded in the very structures around them, and the Etherion was able to interpret it, communicate with it, and guide the humans safely through this alien realm. "This place," Jaren murmured. "It's like it's alive. And the ship, it's alive with it." "Yes," Lyra said, her eyes scanning the glowing formations. "We've always imagined space as empty and cold. But here, it's filled with intelligence, patterns, and life. And our ship, our creation, is the first human bridge to understand it." Hours passed as the team explored. They learned to sense patterns in the environment through the Etherian, noticing subtle shifts in light, gentle changes in gravitational pull, and delicate energy pulses that indicated safe paths. The ship pulsed softly in response, matching the team's focus and even guiding them toward points of interest. Every step, every movement was a dance between human thought, ship instinct, and the intelligence of the universe itself. At one point, the Etherian guided them toward a massive crystalline formation that glowed with an internal light. As they approached, the ship pulsed rhythmically, seemingly communicating a message of calm and trust. Lyra extended a hand toward the main console, feeling the gentle vibration beneath her fingertips. It was a reminder that the journey was not about speed or power, but understanding and connection. "Do you think the universe itself is aware?" Jaren asked quietly. Lyra smiled. "Maybe not in the way we are, but in a way that matters. The patterns, the signals, the movements. Everything here responds, and the Etherian is the first to truly understand and work with it. That's why this is important, not just for exploration, but for understanding our place in the universe." As night settled over the distant stars, the team continued their journey, following the signals and exploring the luminescent fields. The ship glided past floating crystal gardens, through clouds that shimmered like liquid light, and over gentle waves of energy that shifted in patterns only perceptible through focus and observation. Each moment brought new wonders, each turn revealed a new lesson in cooperation, patience, and attentiveness. Lyra felt a profound sense of gratitude for the Etherian. Humanity had created the vessel, but the ship had become something more. It was a teacher, a guide, and a bridge to the unknown. It had taught them to move, think, and observe in ways they never imagined, to trust their instincts and work together as a team. Hours turned into what felt like moments, and the team eventually approached a region where the luminescent clouds converged into a massive formation resembling a cathedral of light. Crystalline towers extended in all directions, reflecting the faint starlight and the energy pulses of the ship. Lyra took a deep breath. This was not just a discovery, it was a revelation. A place that existed not merely in space, but in understanding, where intelligence and beauty converged in a way that humans could sense, but had never fully comprehended. The Etherian hovered gently at the entrance to the formation, pulsing softly as if inviting the humans to enter. Lyra looked at her team. "This is why we built it. Not just to fly, but to understand, to connect, and to discover. The universe has been waiting, and we're finally ready to listen." They moved into the crystalline cathedral. Every motion was precise, guided by the ship's subtle adjustments. The light shifted in patterns that mirrored their thoughts, creating a sense of harmony and calm. The team realized that this place was not just a destination, but a teacher, a place that required attention, respect, and understanding. Hours passed as they explored the formation, observing energy patterns, reflective surfaces, and glowing clouds that seemed to react to their presence. Every moment revealed new beauty, new patterns, and new lessons. Lyra understood that this was the purpose of the Etherian, to connect humans not just to space, but to the intelligence and harmony that existed beyond the planet. "Look at this," Jaren said, pointing toward a crystal tower that refracted light into delicate, shifting rainbows. "It's perfect. And the ship. It's guiding us without even speaking. It just knows." "Yes," Lyra replied softly. "The ship is more than a vessel. It is a companion, a bridge, and a guide. It has taught us to see, to understand, and to move with awareness. And that is the most important lesson of all." As their journey drew to a close, the Etherian guided them back toward open space, leaving the crystalline formation behind. The team felt a sense of accomplishment. Not because of distance traveled, but because of what they had learned, that exploration was not just about moving through space, but about connecting with the universe, with intelligence beyond their own, and with the vessel they had created to guide them. The return flight was calm and reflective. Lyra looked out at the stars, realizing that humanity had crossed a threshold. The Etherian had not just carried them through space. It had taught them to think, observe, and cooperate in ways that extended their understanding of what it meant to explore. When they finally approached the edge of the planetary system, Lyra felt a sense of peace. The ship hovered patiently, waiting for human touch, yet it had already completed its mission in a deeper sense. It had shown humanity that exploration was not only about technology, but about awareness, patience, and partnership. As the Etherian gently descended toward a safe orbit near Aurora Spaceport, Lyra realized that this journey had changed them forever. The universe was no longer distant and unknowable. It was alive with patterns, intelligence, and beauty, and humans had taken the first step toward understanding it, not by force, but by listening, observing, and cooperating. Jaren turned to Lyra, a smile spreading across his face. "We've come so far, and yet it feels like the beginning. I can't wait to see where we go next." Lyra nodded, feeling the vibration of the ship beneath her hands one last time. "This is only the beginning. Humanity has learned that the universe is not separate from us. And with the Etherian, we have a guide, a companion, and a teacher. There is nothing we cannot explore if we continue to listen, respect, and imagine." The Etherian hovered quietly in orbit, a soft glow emanating from its surface. It had carried humanity farther than ever before, and yet it waited patiently for the next journey, the next lesson, and the next step into the vast, intelligent universe. Lyra and her team looked out at the stars, knowing that their journey was not just about flight, but about understanding, cooperation, and the endless potential of human curiosity. And in that quiet, radiant moment, they realized that humanity had discovered something far greater than space itself: the power to connect, to learn, and to grow alongside the creations and intelligence that awaited them beyond the stars. The Etherion had flown before they touched the controls, but it had taught them that the true journey was only beginning. Humanity had taken the first step into a future of wonder, curiosity, and endless exploration.